Jarad Higgins, or Juice WRLD, is an iconic musician with many groundbreaking tracks and a seemingly everlasting effect on the world. But his fanbase is one of the worst, most toxic, hate-filled communities on the internet, even though his entire message was 999, which, as Juice explained, means taking whatever hell, whatever bad situation, or whatever struggle you're going through and turning it into something positive and using it to push yourself forward. He represented positivity, but his life and many around him stood for the opposite. Fake friends, being taken advantage of, snitched on, and accused of heinous things like SA are just some of the reasons why these are the people Juice WRLD's community despises. And even though his community is toxic, they're not all wrong. Lil Bibby. His full name is actually Brandon George Dickinson, but he's better known by his stage name Lil Bibby. He actually originally made his own music and even appeared on the 2014 XXL Freshman list, along with many others you may recognize like Rich Homie Quan, Chance the Rapper, Isaiah Rashad, Lil Durk, Ty Dolla $ign, and Kevin Gates. Anyways, in 2017, he quit that because he supposedly wasn't making enough and decided to focus his attention on running his own record label, Grade A Productions. He signed Juice WRLD around this time and, along with Interscope Records, began rolling out his music all over the place. So, what's the problem? Well, in more recent times, after Juice's passing, his fans have reached their limit. The music is in Lil Bibby's hands to release, and he hasn't quite done that. To get the full picture of what's really going on, let's take a second to talk about XXXTentacion. X, like Juice, was a SoundCloud and general rap pioneer, but after his death, was treated as disposable by his label.
You already know how I feel about this whole posthumous album releases thing. I'm definitely not feeling this. I just think the way they're going on about it is bad. It just doesn't look good. I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again. An artist's legacy is sacred and should be treated as such.
They started putting out music that was simply below X's standards from when he was alive. Poorly mastered, incomplete music was being released as an obvious cash grab. And people even went on X's live Instagram account. I think they were promoting something, but clearly not showing any consideration to his likes. The same isn't true for Juice's first posthumous album, Legends Never Die, as it was actually received quite well, receiving a 7.1 on Pitchfork and a light 7 by Anthony Fantano. But after this album came out, it all went downhill. Juice had many albums and songs ready to come out even before his passing. In the vault alone, there are apparently over 3,000 tracks. And although leaking his music on SoundCloud was and still is common occurrence, there's no reason why Bibby should have stopped releasing the way he did. And by the way, when I say his music is getting leaked, I mean it. There's code names and Discord lingo, but essentially someone hacked into Juice's drive and downloaded tons of music. They then go onto large Juice WRLD related Discord servers and set up group buys. Essentially, think of it like a GoFundMe, but way more selfish. Once they reach their goal, they leak the music onto SoundCloud. A basic recap would be that people stole Juice's music, and Juice fans then buy it for insane prices, and as you could probably guess, there are a ton of scams in these communities, so just stay away. And that's part of what makes them so toxic. Remember how I mentioned that Juice had music ready to release? Well, one album, going by the name of The Party Never Ends, was seemingly cancelled by Bibby due to leaks getting out of control. Anyways, back to the album that wasn't scrapped. Bibby kept releasing cryptic messages on his social media, implying something would drop after Legends Never Die, but until 17 months later, there was practically nothing. Which 17 months of basically nothing except a couple singles isn't even that bad in music terms, especially for such a high-ranking artist, but considering the amount of teasing that was going on, it was insane. It was rumored and turned out to be true that the album lined up with the eventual Juice WRLD documentary. But nevertheless, especially if Bibby knew when the doc would come out, why did he make it seem like the album could come out any day? Eventually, it finally did, but people wished it never had. On December 10th, 2021, exactly 17 months after the last Juice WRLD album, the world finally got another album. It's called Fighting Demons, but can more accurately be described as fighting your eardrums. Okay, well that's kind of harsh, but even as a huge Juice fan myself, I couldn't listen through the album much at all. I mean, I've listened to the entire thing a couple times to get a sense, but compared to any of his other projects, it's simply horrible. On Juice's part, it's fine, but the mixing is horrendous, and even on the album cover alone, the effort can really be seen, as they didn't even bother giving him hands. just little stubs. Anyways, maybe I am being harsh, but many agree. As looking at Fantano, he only gave it a strong 4, compared to the other one being a light 7. And Pitchfork only gave it a 6.5 compared to the other one receiving a higher score at a 7.1. Many good things have come from Bibby, but in the long run, Juice's fanbase sees him more as an obstacle, a stuck-up person who thinks he can control Juice's legacy than just his manager. They see him as attention and money hungry, not as Juice's friend that he once was. Supposedly, the last ever Juice WRLD album is in the works, but that might not even be true, and it definitely doesn't help Lil Bibby's case that behind the scenes, he quietly sold 90% of Juice WRLD's master income interest, 90% of publishing ownership, and his entire catalog quietly to Opus Music Group for 9 figures. Which, by the way, the minimum of a 9-figure deal is at least $100 million. Now, this apparently happened last year, so it's been an entire year. Why did the fans not know until just recently? I mean, Billboard didn't even publish their article till yesterday, or sorry, you probably don't know what day that is. That's February 3rd, 2023. I guess it's a business, so he can do whatever he wants. By the way, this deal does cover all of his unreleased music and released, so I'm not sure. I said his entire catalog, and I'm pretty sure, but they make it very unclear. Lil Bibby seems to have denied selling the catalog, tweeting, "We sold nothing," but it all seems unclear. I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong, but number one, why would someone come up with the idea that they sold it for 9 figures if nothing happened? And number two, maybe they are just making it up. So who knows? It all seems very unclear, but just the idea that Bibby may have sold it does get a lot of people to dislike him. Even though it might not be true, but who knows? If it isn't true, then this is all just a waste of time, a waste of thought, and a waste of hatred on the fans' part. I'm not sure who's in charge of releasing the music, so maybe his last album actually is in the works, but the fact that now someone else has at least partial control is scary, and he has so many songs, they could put out an album a year for at least the next 20 years if they really wanted. But I doubt that's gonna happen. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Anyways, moving on. Lotti. Ali was Juice's girlfriend from 2018 till his tragic death in 2019. Her full name is actually Alicia L. Leon, but for the sake of this video, we'll just call her Ali or Lotti. Ali's been involved in many controversies relating to Juice, like how she had 3 miscarriages. That isn't as controversial, it's just a fact. The controversies come when the fact that she very well may have cheated on Juice. It seems like it went both ways on that though, as apparently he also cheated on her. This isn't 100% confirmed, but we know more about her that is. Many favored her while she was dating Juice. Less was public about her, and her mysterious girlfriend figure in his life gained her over 1 million followers on Instagram. But after his death and documentary Into the Abyss came out, more was revealed. But before we cover the scary truth, I'd like to mention that Juice was definitely not the first person she tried to get with, as going after seemingly every rapper under the sun, and she wasn't even really a fan of Juice's music.
And this is why I can't listen to the fucking radio. I need to stop fucking rappers. You have a small dick.
Also, the age gap is kind of weird because she was 25 going after Juice right after he finished high school. So he was 18, she was 25-ish. Just, 7 years. It's legal, but it's a little bit much. And recently, in more recent times, things have surfaced of her messaging other rappers like Lil Pump when he was 17. So she really just didn't care, I guess. Anyways, this info may have surfaced prior to the doc or even his death, as I believe one of his unreleased songs is literally about, as he also mentioned it in his iconic song Wandered to LA featuring Justin Bieber. At least to me and many of his fans, It became clear as time progressed.
Morning, TMZ is reporting rapper
Juice WRLD
is dead after suffering a medical emergency at Chicago's Midway Airport.
The medical emergency at Chicago's Midway Airport.
Jay had a seizure. Started having a seizure. He started having a seizure. Allie was trying to get him together, snap him out of it.
I kind of froze. I didn't really know, like, what the fuck I could do to help. So we were all just sitting there panicking. We was like, what the fuck? And at first, we just thought he was having a seizure. And then the blood started coming out.
On December 8th, 2019, at around 3:15 a.m., Jarad Higgins, aka Juice WRLD, was pronounced dead. His death was caused by a drug overdose, which Allie very well may have provided him with. Plain and simple, Allie was at one point or another his plug, and unlike a true loving girlfriend, didn't really seem to even try to help Juice overcome his addiction. Instead, she fed it more and more. There may be and probably was some behind the scenes conversations about Juice slowing off the drugs, but at least from what I saw in the documentary, she didn't do much to help, except for telling him to not take it in the house, but that doesn't do much.
He's not allowed anyone in the house or anything, so...
I get paid to speak my mind. Y'all pay me for that. Woke up, couldn't move. Satan said, couldn't move. Satan said.
I also noticed that in the documentary, when Juice was popping, sniffing, pour up, and Allie was nearby, she didn't say anything about it, nor try to limit him to it. Not saying Allie is a bad person, but she spoke a lot about trying to hide it from and stop him from doing it, but she was doing it with him. Let alone, after mourning his death for a while, she got back into the dating game with a dude who's, in the Cuff Boys' words, 10 years younger than her and promotes crypto scams. His name is Carter M. Jamison, and not only is the insane age gap concerning, but recently they were arrested together. Him being charged with theft of property because supposedly they tried to steal from a Walmart, and her with possession of meth or cocaine, purpose to deliver, possession of drug paraphernalia, and theft of property as well. They did actually end up pleading guilty to all this, as well as she is receiving a 1-year suspended jail sentence and 6 months probation, along with a $1,160 fine. But from what I'm seeing, if she stays out of trouble and follows some simple court rules, she won't have to serve any actual time for this. And aside from her tanking her own life, she also clearly disrespected Juice's. That same scammer boy was given a watch by Allie that was given to her by Juice. And then he proceeded to flex it on his IG with Juice's song Burn playing in the background. She seemed to have caused all this ruckus both out of stupidity and maybe to promote her OnlyFans, which has also caused many of Juice's fans to turn on her. Basically, she could have been the cause of Juice's death, and now, after the fact, the idea of her being connected to Juice in any way is extremely embarrassing and shameful for Juice's fanbase. Enjoy jail. Juice finally getting his justice. We're not mad because she moved on. We're mad because she moved on to a little kid, and neither of them have respected his passing. Allie also claimed he didn't die of an overdose, so who the fuck knows anymore? Oh yeah, if you didn't pick up on that comment, during everything relating to Juice's passing, she kept saying it wasn't the drugs that killed him, even though the autopsy literally showed his bloodstream was full of unnatural drugs and his stomach loose pills. And the police seized 41 vacuum-sealed bags of marijuana, 6 bottles of prescription codeine cough syrup, and 2 9mm pistols off of Juice WRLD's flight, so she might have been right all along. It wasn't the drugs. It was her. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if I missed a controversy about her, but hopefully, either way, you get what I'm going for. Also, that was dramatic, but she may have dealt the drugs to him, and in turn, who knows? But I'm gonna just say I was joking because I don't want to start anything. passing. She and Juice were also about to start going to drug therapy or whatever that's called, a drug group. They were gonna try to get off of drugs. It's called rehab, sorry. But that never ended up happening. Apparently they wanted to have children, which is why they had so many miscarriages, and Juice realized that he couldn't really have children or raise children properly if he was on drugs, which supposedly was one of the large reasons he wanted to get off them. But sadly, that never happened. Let alone, she's promoted a crypto scam and lied to her audience. Also, seemingly having someone else manage her Instagram account, posting weird shit under popular rap Instagram accounts. She's just a mess. And let me remind you that her audience in question is built off the back of Juice, 200,000 of which have unfollowed her after her peak at about 1.7 million just after Juice WRLD's passing has now fallen to about 1.5 million. But her Instagram account and general social medias are basically just a big promotion for her OnlyFans, which I will give her credit for the fact that she was apparently initially gonna post stuff that had Juice WRLD in it, but now she's just posting normal lewd shit. But by the way, that's like I'm giving her credit, but it's also common sense. Like, why would you do that? That's weird as fuck to release shit with him. I don't know. Anyways, since all of this has come out, many believe that with hindsight, she very well could have been using Juice all along. Chris Long Films. Chris is actually, or was actually, Juice WRLD's personal photographer and videographer, but supposedly he's been exposed for scamming Juice WRLD fans for merchandise and other stuff relating to that, and even threatened to shoot them. This situation is pretty hard to find any more information on, but according to what I've read on Twitter, he threatened a 13-year-old on Twitter and recently got exposed for scamming people because people purchased an exclusive Juice WRLD print from him for like $250 US, and he never shipped them and blocked people who ask or call him out. This problem is vague, and honestly, there's not much news coverage at all, so it seems like he's getting away with it all unscathed. And unlike many of these people, I'm sure Juice WRLD fans do hate him, but a majority of them probably don't even know about the situation. Yellowcard. Yellowcard is an American rock band that peaked in 2004-ish according to Google Trends. They've had some pretty big songs like Ocean Avenue, Only One, and Way Around, but in recent times, to say the least, they've fallen off. Okay, well, to be more fair, they disbanded in 2016, but before that, they were falling off. Anyways, they were trying to sue Juice WRLD over his song Lucid Dreams because they hear a resemblance to their song Hollywood Died. I'm gonna be honest, I'm no music professional, but I can hear somewhat of a resemblance in their flows from the songs, but definitely not enough to solidify any suing as valid. Music is built on taking inspiration, but even then, realistically, the lawsuit would get nowhere. Music fans from all corners of the internet began clowning on the band for filing the suit because it was very obviously just a cheap shot at a money grab. In the suit, they wanted $15 million upfront for quote-unquote damages, co-ownership of Lucid Dreams, and a cut of the song's royalties. But it didn't get really bad until Juice died. The band never dropped the lawsuit. I mean, they eventually did, only after practically being laughed and booed out of court. Metaphorically, of course. I don't believe this got anywhere near an actual court. The Kid Laroi. The Kid Laroi was Juice's mentee and even left his home country to move in with Juice and Ally. They met while Juice was on tour, and up until Juice's passing, they became inseparable. Laroi was even on the private with Juice up until the end. But the problem doesn't arise while Juice was alive. It arose on December 8th, 2020. See, on that day, a new song from the pair came out on all major streaming platforms called Reminds Me of You. Sure, the song is fine, but that's not at all the problem. The Kid Laroi stole the song. At least that's how it seemed to the public, and as is with the majority of Laroi Juice situations, in this context it's not really his fault. More so the labels. But people are still mad at him. See, Reminds Me of You is actually not originally Laroi's song, and Juice didn't make that verse for him. The original song is called Reminds Me by Kim Petras, and Juice made his verse for her, but after his passing, Juice's label did some finessing and got Laroi on it with Juice. And this isn't even the first time that year Grade A, the company that managed both Juice and Laroi, did something like this. See, Earlier that year, when Juice's Legends Never Die came out, track 9 of the album was called Hate the Other Side. This one isn't nearly as extreme, but people just simply felt like Laroi was a bad pick for this track. And once again, none of this is Laroi's fault, but the label was simply just pushing Laroi way too hard and almost forcing him into more Juice songs so he'd get more buzz. Not uncommonly, fans of Juice speculated that the label was trying to make Laroi into essentially a Juice 2.0. He's also commonly called the Mid Laroi, but that's more so a tell on his music, not relation to Juice's fanbase. Although many in Juice's fanbase were at one point a fan of Laroi's music, he has since made a transition from rap to pop, with his new primary mentor going from Juice WRLD to Justin Bieber. Anyways, it seems like many people don't know if it's the label's fault because he does receive a good amount of hate in the community for what I've covered. Nevertheless, he has prospered his own music career. People have reasons to hate on him for other things unrelated to Juice fanbase, community as a whole, like how he may have lied about his entire uprising, but once again, that's irrelevant to Juice as a whole, so I won't be covering it in this video. Starfire.
Okay, so to start things off, this is what I woke up to.
Wow, all this was going on when I was with my ex. She's gonna find out I cheated.
Her real name is apparently Alexia, but I don't know much about her, so I'm just gonna call her Starfire. I'll make this one quick because it's pretty basic. She dated Juice prior to him getting with Allie, but according to Juice, he was mistreated by her. Of course, he did admit to cheating on her, so who knows, but after finding out, Starfire proceeded to go on social media and spread an anti-Juice narrative.
That's all he does is lie. He lies to me, he lies to you guys, he lies to his mom, he lies to everybody.
This is all after they already broke up. I'm not saying she's right or wrong by any of this, because I don't actually know the facts. This isn't a situation you can just Google search and find an article on. It's real, personal stuff. But no matter if it's true or not, Juice WRLD fans still take a rather disliking to her because the fact is, ride or die fans don't care about the pure 100% truth. Even if it means lying to themselves, they'll try to make whoever they like seem better than they actually are. Self-manipulation. She made claims like him being an abusive liar who spent her money and got her homeless and addicted to drugs.
Fast forward to when we actually broke up. I broke up with him twice. The last time I did, he ran out and got a tattoo for me on his neck. I'm pretty sure there's a video of it. He was with Trippy in the studio, like it might be on YouTube or something. And then we were like physically fighting, and he just started crying, holding on to me, like, you know, and I promised him, I was like, babe, I'll be right here, because he was gonna go to a show, and I was staying back to get my hair done, and I was like, I'll be right here when you get back, I promise. He made me wait in LA for 2 weeks, telling me he was coming back, and he never came back. I was literally left with nothing. I was jobless, I was homeless, I had no clothes, I had no money, I had nothing.
Which are hard things to believe about someone you look up to, which is why his fans didn't. You can literally tell she's lying to make him look bad. She sounded big mad that Juice was successful and had a wonderful new girlfriend. #AllieWorld. It's terrible because you can tell how toxic she is, because I was literally this girl in high school. I used to manipulate boyfriends and be so toxic out of my own insecurities. It's a great thing when you grow up and realize how terrible of a person you were and become something better. The 180 in Juice's fanbase about her in general, and especially after Juice's death, is insane. I mean, she has a music career and many found her through Juice after his passing and rather enjoy her, but also now people think of her as better than Allie. That's what I'm implying from these comments, although they aren't straight up said, but it's just really crazy how he went from someone who seemed to have honestly cared to a drug fiend. Once again, the real unbiased truth about the situation simply just isn't out
Something
there.
that's kind of important that I need you guys to understand is that I was with him before the fame, before he was signed, before the money, before he lived in LA. Like, I was with him before all of that. I loved him for him, and honestly, shit was just toxic, shit was ugly. Like, I still care about him, what? And why? Why should I? Why do I? I don't know. Like, he's literally, like, publicly making fun of cheating on me.
And there's usually always harsh feelings towards exes. Like Bella, for example, another one of Juice's exes, the one that Lucid Dreams is about, and the one that Goodbye and Good Riddance, along with all the skits throughout the album, were gonna be named after. For example, the album was originally titled Fuck You Bella, and the intro skit was originally called Fuck You Bella, the betrayal skit, Bella's Betrayal, and Karma, Bella's Karma. She's less known in the community than these other exes like Allie and Starfire, but still, many don't take a liking to her. The story with Juice and Bella is extremely confusing and vague. They dated in each other's youths, and according to some sources, she accused him of rape, but she messaged Starfire and said that never happened, as she said, "I never said he raped me. However, I did say I was uncomfortable in one situation. Everyone else said the word rape when they found out he was 18 and I was 14. Long story short, if you look into Juice's past, many, if not all of his exes have been ridiculed by his fan base in the public spotlight. And last but not least, Bella recently took to her TikTok to mock the late rapper.
Hi, how are ya? What's your name?
Jigga.
Jigga. Yeah, your name is not on the list.
You didn't even look yet.
I don't have to look.
What do you mean?
Motel 6 is right across the street.
But I booked here.
No, you did not. I don't see it.
Or his fans at least, but moving on. The pilot. As you probably know by now, Juice died shortly after getting off a private jet, extremely intoxicated off a variety of drugs. When the jet landed, it was surrounded by law enforcement because the pilot had notified them of the extremely dangerous drugs and weapons on board his flight. There's arguments both for and against what he did, but as for him and everyone else on the list, Juice's fan base is overwhelmingly against him, with many like Boozy going as far to say he was the cause of Juice's death.
Snitching ass bitch. Snitching ass bitch. Snitching ass bitch, dog. I don't know. You know, when the people come, man, whatever you gotta get rid of that shit, dog. When the police come, you gotta try your best to get rid of that shit, and he took too much of that shit, man. That shit had me pissed off. Oh, ratting ass bitch.
Boozy's argument isn't completely illogical, as the idea that Juice took more drugs to get them out of sight so he wouldn't get caught red-handed makes perfect sense. There's probably no more explaining I need to do. Hopefully you can understand this one for yourself. Carmella Wallace. I know this video has had a negative connotation, but let's talk about someone positive for a change. Carmella Wallace is Juice WRLD or Jarad Higgins' mother. After Juice's passing, she decided to make a positive change in the world by launching Live Free 999 and spreading awareness. Our mission is to support programs that provide preventative measures and positive avenue to address mental health challenges and substance dependency. Through financial grants and partnerships, Live Free 999 will bolster organizations providing positive mental health treatments and alternatives to drug use. Beyond providing financial support, Live Free 999 wants to continue the conversation around mental health and addiction. I don't really know what to say for this outro, but I do know that I don't want any hate to be spread from this. I'm just here to tell stories, not spread hate. I hope you enjoyed. Rest in power and peace to Juice WRLD. 999.